What's up, everyone? Sean here, and tonight, or I guess today, depending on when you're watching this, World Championship 7 is finally over, and we definitely, one thing for sure, had some real good robot fighting times. Man, what a great episode to wrap up this season. Again, like, I really liked pretty much most of the fights. Like, I would say, like, probably like 98% of the fights. Probably right off the bat, maybe if I really look into it. But anyway, like this was really good. I think this was like action packed. So much like tension really was felt here. I think this time around, with all the rule changes and just like the quote unquote drama and just like I don't know, man. It definitely had some of everything, and I think this was a really good episode to again wrap it up for this season. And boy, oh boy, what a great day for the fans of SawBlaze. I actually do like SawBlaze myself. I can't say if it's like my favorite robot of all time. I don't really have a strong favorite when it comes to these modern robots. They all have their really cool things of their own. But for right now, SawBlaze is definitely up there though. It's definitely one of the top robots of my favorite lists. And I think that's a pretty big W for, SawBlaze fans all around because, well, the winner was SawBlaze. Wow. It did not go without a close fight. That was really close. Jonathan Schultz, what a story, right? But let's go over the fight. Let's go over the episodes and such like that. So where to begin, right? Let's go start from this bracket right here, or this side of the bracket. Like, geez Louise, I mean, SawBlaze definitely, won that one. But, again, this wasn't a wash. If you look at that fight, Minotaur was putting up a fight. It bent the weapon. There were moments where, like, uh-oh, There were some good amount of uh-oh moments, thanks to Minotaur. But by the end of it, though, SawBlaze controlled the fight. That one hit was very key and lit them on fire. Literally, their butt was on fire. And it was burning out pretty much. It was pretty much like the countdown. But, Jameson still had to work for it, right? Jameson and his team definitely still had to work for it. And it was pretty wild, even with that kind of match. Even though it's like weird. It's still convincingly won, but not without a good fight, right? Like it was still a great fight. It wasn't a wash, or a complete wash at that. Minotaur still put up a great fight. It still had to earn it. It couldn't just sit there and fiddle their thumbs or twiddle their thumbs or anything like that. They still had to control them. They still had to make sure the ball doesn't. The inflaming bull at that didn't take out their weapon and stuff like that, and of course the bot itself. But by the end of it, though, it burned itself out, and it was done for. So I believe by KO, SawBlaze was able to take it. So that fight I was able to get right. And then the one with Hydra and Ribbot. Man, oh man, that was an interesting match. It was pretty much the Wild West. It was two robots with the weapons ready, with the hammer cocked and everything. The robot who flinched pretty much lost, and unfortunately that was Hydra. Last time they fought, Hydra won that convincingly. But this time around, Ribbot took some the patient sort of path. And it paid off. It definitely paid off. Hydra slipped up, and Jake had to, pretty much eat it. The vertical spinner has been very successful, it seems like, and I think from this point on, most of the time they'll probably rock the vertical spinner. Maybe the horizontal spinner will be brought out for special occasions, for those special matchups. But with Ribbot, pretty much like taking that win, and it was an interesting match. It was a completely different flavor. Again, it had that Wild West flavor to it, in contrast of the So the chaos that SawBlaze and Minotaur were having, it's just it's the game of draw, and this time around, Ribbot won that shootout. Couple of hits to the sides, it was done for. That's all there is to that one. Let's go on to the other side of things. Let's go from the bottom up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Witch Doctor? I thought Witch Doctor was going to win that one because I thought it was going to be, not easily, obviously, but, it would have eventually take out the wheels, right? Chip away the wheels, just like what Mad Catter did. And it's weird. Mad Catter achieved what Witch Doctor couldn't, in a way. It chipped at the wheels, They're kind of onto something. And unfortunately, driver Mike was not able to replicate that result, and instead there was that one key hit when they were taking them on, weapon to weapon, when Witch Doctor kind of turned a little bit, and that was the fatal shot because it hit them right in the right where the belts are, and it essentially took out their weapon. If they just were to maybe like go straight into the weapon, it could have been different. Maybe they could have kept going a little longer, but nonetheless, they would have kept going. But there was that slight turn, I believe, took out the belt, took out the weapon. And that point on, Hughes just took out the rib, and just kept hitting him and stuff like that. I think it went all the way, I believe, but otherwise, it was pretty convincing on Hughes' side. Like this was Hughes' season, all the way. You can't really deny that. This was the best Hughes has ever looked. All in all, So I gotta switch it to Hughes. So therefore, let me see if I. No, he's taking over. No, the witch is taking over. No, I'm getting the voodoo magic. Oh no. yeah, so anyway, so Hughes took that over. It was quite convincing though. It was definitely quite convincing. That weapon has been very powerful. Hughes just been really matching the name. It was huge. In terms of the hits and stuff like that, man, it's been just unbelievable of how well it's been performing, even against the likes of Witch Doctor, man, which has been one of the most dangerous robots out there too, with the vertical spinner and 4 wheels, which is a lot of them anyway. But yeah, man, that was a great fight as well. A little more like in between, I think, maybe a little bit of patience, but also just that action that we look forward to in BattleBots. And Hughes provided that nice destruction. It's been a while since we've actually seen Witch Doctor seeing that like that squared robot. It kind of reminds me of like the old Witch Doctor, and we were able to kind of see that a little bit of that again once one of the ribs were taken off. Kind of funny. But yeah, again, Witch Doctor won that, or which, excuse me. Hughes won that fight. Whether it was a unanimous decision or not, Hughes won that. Now, this one was another fight I got wrong, unfortunately. And much to my surprise, though, Copperhead took it. In a way, I mean. Now, there was a bit of a development, right, with Riptide's team, and Ethan got COVID. Unfortunately, he got COVID. The rest of the team didn't, but Ethan got COVID. That was definitely a huge rock of the boat, and they had to grab a new driver, and it was like one of the youngest members who took the mantle for this one. And I think he did a good job overall. I think that driver for Riptide did a good job for filling in those shoes. I don't think there was really any like horrible display of driving or anything like that. from my eyes anyway, they did the best they could. But having to take on the power of Copperhead with that solid drum, they cracked the egg beater drum on Riptide. It makes sense. I didn't really think about that. I didn't really take it into account of the thinness in some of the spots that this drum spinner or the drum had on Riptide. You know, when you look at it in comparison to Copperhead, I kind of forgot somehow to take that into account. Instead, though, I did take into account of the shape of the body, you know, so that when you have impact, right, because of the shape of the body of Riptide, they're probably more likely going to win those trade-offs. And I was right in that sense. Because Copperhead was flying, and Riptide not so much, from what I can remember. So it looked like Copperhead was going to lose there. But because they were taking them head on, that was probably their, you know, kind of like their downfall in a way. I don't know if this egg beater drum was the same throughout the entire season. I don't know if they had spares or anything like that. I don't know if that would have helped anyway. But this design, I think, you know, while it was powerful, you know, from the rest of the season, up to this point, we didn't really get to see its flaws. And I think it's just the rigidness of that drum. It's almost like a glass. It's a true glass cannon because it's powerful, but it will break itself when it meets with a similar weapon, which is another drum. So at that point, it's like, which one's the most solid one? And the answer is pretty much Copperhead. It makes sense because the Copperhead drum is more solid. So at that point, it won that battle in the end. It like chipped it, or no, it split it. That's amazing, you know. After seeing so many knockouts from Riptide, and for it to see it in this state, it's damning, you know. It really shows it still has weaknesses besides the drive. The drum itself, while it is its greatest strength, it's also a weakness in a way, depending on who it fights. So maybe for next time, other teams will take that into account. Maybe if they continue to use this same exact weapon, they'll probably use a heavier weapon, you know, and or something to like that has a strong focal point, and to just like crack it, you know, and track that drum somehow. Now, easier said than done, obviously. And what do I know? I'm a viewer. I don't build robots or anything like that. I have built stuff in the past, you know, out of wood and stuff like that, but out of wood and some plastic and PVC and stuff like that. But, you know, I've used power tools and whatever. But, like, geez, man, like, this stuff is amazing. You know, that's why I love Battlebots more ways than one. Like, all the materials, the science, the physics behind it. Like, I get interested, even though I'm not like a complete expert. I like this stuff, you know. When stuff collides, when stuff interacts, the engagement is what really tickles my interests, right? You know, as maybe weird as that sounds. In the end of it, though, it could have gone both ways, right? You know, maybe they, instead of taking them head on, they could have just waited. They could have definitely waited. They could have played that the game of patience and let Copperhead sort of hang itself, right, by turning, and once it does the gyroscopic motion, then you can hit it up with the egg beater drum, right? So that way you're not hitting it, you know, just straight head on or anything like that. But they just, well, hit it straight on. A couple of times, in fact. Now, it wasn't like a complete like one hit KO on the weapon or anything like that. Took a couple of hits, but that was, you know, they've had still some chances, but I think hitting them where Copperhead is strongest, You know, it wasn't really the smartest in the end. Maybe their ego was like on the high end, you know, and they were so confident in that weapon that, you know, in their own right, of course, I don't blame them for it. They felt like, oh, we can take on the world, you know, with this weapon head on, even without taking into account that Copperhead's drum is very solid. So, but they could have waited, hit the wheels somewhere. They could have hit the chain, snap it. That could have been the end of it. Just like what happens later on. But Riptide, I think even with, I mean, who knows? Who knows if even Ethan could have like matched sort of like the patience that was needed, right? I think even Ethan would have been just overly confident and just would have hit him head on, maybe, you know. But it definitely was a factor, right? But if we talk about the bots themselves, this goes to show the head-on collisions. While yeah, Copperhead is flying, the real damage I think is on Riptide because of the weapon. We saw with the weapon, it cracked. And as Luke pointed out, that the egg beater drum had some thin spots, you know, while powerful, and the energy that it packs and stuff like that is massive in its own right. Like again, the solid drum prevailed. You know, maybe it's not so much about power, but durability is there very important as well. So maybe next time Riptide will implement a different drum for these type of fights. They gotta probably toss in a more solid drum against another drum spinner. You know, and so next time when they fight someone like Minotaur, they'll probably you know, rock a different drum or a different weapon. And then otherwise, they can go back to their signature weapon for all the other, you know, vertical spinners and bots and stuff like that. I think that would be a sound strategy a little more. But with that said, they could pretty much like implement a really solid rigid weapon to just like endure it, to tank it, you know, head on. Either that or just don't Riptide just won't hit them head on from now on. They've learned their lesson, you know. And that type of sort of, I guess, sort of strategy only took them so far. But it took them to top 8, but that is, I guess, definitely not the #1 strategy at this point. You know, if you look at the other robots, right, you know, it was quite different. Not quite the head-on collisions, with the exception of Witch Doctor and Huge, of course. It was pretty methodical, especially with Ribbot and Hydra. I mean, yeah, different weapons, of course, but still methodical no less. So I think that's what the Riptide should have done with Copperhead. I know that there's a lot to talk about, but these two robots, man, there are, you know, this was a very highly anticipated fight for me because, you know, this is two drum spinners, and like I said before, it was an unstoppable force versus an unstoppable force. Boom. It looked like Copperhead was taking on the damage, but it also hurt their drum, right, with on Riptide. Was it still able to drive? Yeah, right, because when you look at the replay, that force was rocking Copperhead, though. So it still packed a punch, but like Luke said, there are thin spots in that drum, and they lost it. So I think really, if they won, I mean, if they were to rock the same drum, I think they could have won. They could have definitely won with that same drum if they had the patience for it. But they just hit them. You know, wait for the wheels to pretty much point at them, and with that small chance, they could have taken those hits or given the hits to Copperhead. But at the end, man, even though Copperhead lost the wheel, it still won the fight. It had the damage and everything. You know what's funny though? There is an interesting note. After Copperhead won, Team Riptide actually made an appeal, which I don't blame them for. You know, they still have it. They have the right to it. and it actually resulted in a worse decision because it was a split decision, but then it turned into a unanimous decision towards Copperhead because they saw, I guess, one of them saw less aggression from Riptide. I think that's what the scorecard said. That's maybe some, depending on who you are, right? Could be karma for them. I don't know, man. I know who's smiling. I feel, but I'm not gonna bring that up. Anyway, I also wanted to say this before I forget. In between, but Ethan getting COVID also was like kind of weird timing. Maybe it was impeccable. Maybe that's a word for it, but it was something, right? Like, how could you not think like there's something going on with this team? Like, are they being like paid a little extra or something to kind of like, I don't know, stir up some sort of drama or something? I don't know. Like, all this stuff is happening to this team. Like, the whole like, copying the beetle weight thing, with the Captain Shredder incident, and then there's the and then Team Shatter stuff, right? And then you have this, right? Like this is definitely the team. I don't know, man. There was something following them. Stuff was following them for sure. And then and then you have them appealing after their loss, and then they even got a worse decision after that judge's decision. It wasn't split. It became unanimous. Like, geez, like what? How? Like, man, like there is something going on. It seems like I can't help but think that something is following them around. Like, I don't know, like bad. Is it just bad luck? Is it just like this cloud of like something? I don't know. I can't really put a finger on it. I can't really explain it, but you can't help but think, I don't know, this is something cursed or something. As much as they were winning, right? It looked monstrous throughout their whole fights, but something was following them, and in the end, they couldn't win it in top 8 over Copperhead. Okay, so it's down to the final 4, which I did not even think it would wind up this way. Like, you have a hammer saw robot, you have a drum spinner, you have a unique robot, the unique body robot, and then you have a vertical spinner who can also change into a horizontal spinner, with that modular design. So, while yeah, it was mostly a vertical spinner throughout the season, the vertical spinner was definitely the dominant one. So yeah, you can kind of look at it as a vertical spinner for this season. So you have the vertical spinner in there, but you also have the drum. So a little more of a unique final 4 this time around. What's also crazy, I almost forgot to mention this too, is that with what was happening with the final 4, we gotta think about that that all the seeds were out. That's crazy. So Hydra was out, Minotaur was out, Witch Doctor was out, and even Riptide got out. That's crazy. Let's just start with the Ribbot versus SawBlaze fight. That was quite the tango, I must say. It was quite the dance. But after the dance was over, SawBlaze was pretty much winning that one because it got the scoop, slam, and then the old slash, and not quite the burn, but maybe it did got the burn after. But the flamethrower did, I think, come in after. But that one hit, man. I mean, someone was burning because that one hit from thanks to SawBlaze hit the battery, I think, and that smoke was just it was kind of spelling the end of it. I think now that I think about it, this probably was the closest thing to a wash, but even Ribbot still put up a decent fight against somebody who was the mentor, right? Jameson was the mentor to David Jin, so that's why that was kind of like the advantage in a way. But still, Ribbot still, didn't go down quite that easily. But yeah, I mean, it essentially burned out Ribbot and essentially made him into frog legs, grilled frog legs, man. Slash and burn definitely prevailed for sure for Team SawBlaze. They definitely went on to grand finals with that one. But yeah, that tangled thing was pretty funny though. And man, you can definitely see the emotion and Team SawBlaze, man. They were hungry for it. They really wanted that. Along with Huge. I think definitely Huge really wanted, like, it visibly, right? It visibly showed that they really wanted to get that giant nut, especially with Jonathan Schultz, man. He and his team put up a great performance throughout the whole thing, and it still continued to show with Copperhead. You know, it's just amazing to see Huge make it so far into Final Four, and then it went even further because it took out the drive chain, and then it just eventually just took out everything else. After a couple more hits, that was pretty much it. It knocked out Copperhead. As kind of weird as that sounds, you know, it definitely is a weird matchup against Huge because he's huge, right? I mean, what could you do with a robot like Copperhead? You know, go for the wheels, okay, maybe, but endure it, maybe jam up the weapon with your own face, but that even didn't work this time around. It's just, I don't know, something about Huge was just powerful, man. Right? The weapon had better spin up time. That's pretty much that, you know. Better schedule from what I can hear too. At that, that was a, I think that was a time was on their side kind of thing. So yeah, I was definitely wrong on this one. So Huge was actually the other part of the finalist, right? The other half of the finalists. That's crazy, dude. Who would have thought that the finals, the grand finals, was with SawBlaze and and Huge? That's like amazing to say as a Battlebots fan. But here we are with SawBlaze and Huge. They were configuring for each other. I think Huge put up armor, a lighter blade in exchange for that, and then SawBlaze put on that weird configuration, man, with the catcher. I don't know, man. It looked weird, and then they even put on the eyelashes, right? As they dubbed it, and that looked like it was not working in the beginning, but it started to catch on. Like literally, it was catching their weapon. They were able to push them to the wall, and they got those key hits in there. It was beautiful to see. This was like a it was a finals match for SawBlaze. They were able to do what SawBlaze was built to do, to snipe out certain spots. They snipe out that weapon belt, and then continue to hit the middle, man. It was immaculate, man. It was definitely a great fight, though. Even with that happening, he was just still hitting hard, especially the first 30 seconds. It was amazing of how much it was hitting on SawBlaze, you know. But thanks to the awesome operating of the weapon, right, when it was hit up, you notice that you can see their weapon swinging forward, so that way the weapon doesn't land on itself when it comes back down. So that way they don't jam up their weapon. You know, if it weren't for that, they would have lost the weapon. And that would have been it, pretty much. Huge was still swinging too, after all that stuff. Even with the other set of belts, still it was still swinging. Weaker, but it was still swinging, and that would have been a very different outcome for them. But all those combinations of what SawBlaze had experienced over the years, it really paid off, you know, and they were able to control them for the later half, I would say, and they were able to just hit them. They put on the damage. They were able to control them. They had the aggression, of course, you know. While Huge had the aggression and the damage as well, I would say. The control, I would give it to SawBlaze overall. So I think that's what was key to that finals match. I think it's appropriate because SawBlaze is all about the control. That's what they specialize in as well, as those precise hits. So what is that really saying about, what's the best robot, right? Like there's just a combination of a lot of things, It's not just like, oh, just because this robot does really well as a beetle weight, they, for Riptide, for example, Riptide, maybe by coincidence, was looking similar by the beetle weight robot that, Calvin had, and it seemed to be pretty effective. Oh, this design is so successful. Why not make into that kind of heavyweight robot? And yeah, it was paying off, but but it takes more than that. I think it definitely takes the man. The man also is very important. That's why you can't just have the robot. The robot is definitely half of it, but you gotta have the team. That's like kind of the point I try to drive when it comes to these sort of things. I noticed that a lot of people, when it comes to the comments, not just here, but like out on the official Battlebots YouTube and stuff like that, they always talk about the robot, but they don't really take account to the people, right? I mean, it's simple as who build the robots, people, the team, right? If you don't have the person behind the wheel, the robot is kind of nothing almost. I mean, we kind of saw that with Ethan, right, being out of the picture, unfortunately, and they had to get a new driver. Now, again, would that have swayed sort of the favor? Maybe, perhaps. We won't know, but Riptide still did what Riptide does best, which is to, ram him into the robot, and it lost that battle in the end, right? Mistakes happen, even with robots that are really powerful, and they pay for it. So again, that's why you really gotta take into consideration the people, right? The mentality. You gotta really see the emotions and stuff like that, how the team is doing and such like that. Things happen too. Again, with Ethan's team, they suffered. Ethan suffered COVID, right? Those things happen. That's all part of the sport. Just stuff happens. Yeah, and people kind of just forget about that. Yeah, I mean, this robot took this many hits. They only have this many parts, but the other team could suffer something else completely different, and that could like even the playing field. These things can happen with other sports too, football, baseball, wrestling, of course, MMA and stuff like that. Stuff happens, whether it's during the fight or outside of it. Did this person lose too much weight? Or did this person gain too much weight? Oh, did they twist their ankle during the off season? That type of stuff happens. Point being, the robot themselves, you can't really count on too much. But I don't blame them for it. You gotta take into consideration the other factors, including the people. The people are just as important as the robots. They're the ones who are driving these personalities into these robots. They kind of neglect that. And I've seen that with with these comments. Oh, I can ignore the drama and stuff like that, or I ignore the emotions or whatever, right? But that's what kind of like is also important too. Like it's not 100% like, oh, that is the drive or anything like that, but how are these things built in the first place? A dream, the motivation, right? So you can't help but or at least I can't help but think that this is all important things, right? Right. You gotta have a good robot. You gotta be good too, whether it's mental, physically, emotionally, all that stuff, right? And there are a number of people out there who just ignore that stuff, and that's fine, right? People are here just to see robots destroy each other at the end of the day, and that's fine, right? If they don't even care who wins, that's fine, because at the end of the day, BattleBots is a TV show, then a competition. We're just here to see robots destroy each other, but it is a competition also after that. So there is a giant nut to win. There is going to be motivation. So what's behind motivation? The emotion, right? And all that fun stuff in between. And of course, SawBlaze had all that, right? The motivation, the drive, the technicality type of stuff. I mean, and same with Jonathan Schultz. They also all had the sort of the emotions, the drive, everything else. These two teams had it all. It really did. It really came down to the moments, right? And again, with SawBlaze, they had those key hits in, and they had the control and all that stuff, and that's how they won that. And you can really see it, man. When they were happy, I felt that. I was really happy for them too. And man, Schultz is it's like he was such a great sport throughout the whole thing. Even when he was at his lowest in the previous seasons, he still kept it together. And man, like as someone who got second place, still put up a great sportsmanship till the very end, and he didn't even bother appealing it. He just thought, no, that was well deserved. That was a great fight. I don't want to just ruin it, man. And that was pretty much that. He didn't even bother doing it. I was like, wow, it was so close that I wouldn't blame him though. I wouldn't be mad at him or upset at him for using it. That's his right. But he didn't, because he knew that, like, that feeling and stuff. So, damn, man, what a way to end the season, with Team SawBlaze taking the giant nut. Jamison Go and the rest of his team, congratulations on that championship, man. And they're gonna get the banner next year. That's awesome, man. I think it really was a process for SawBlaze, right? You've seen their early designs, you've seen the potential, but the flaws were there, and they ironed out those over time, and they really got to, like, correct that up to this point. And still lost a couple along the way, but then it, like, just basically was able to execute everything else mostly with flying colors. I think they only lost once in this entire season too. And then with Huge, right? I think it won all the way. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. And the matchup was just odd again. But here we are. SawBlaze took it. And with that, World Championship 7 has come to an end. What a beautiful ending that was. So I was really happy for it. I was like on the edge of my seat, actually. I was like, oh man, who's gonna take it? Who's gonna take it? But when I saw it, like, when I was watching some podcasts before this episode was aired, and I was watching someone like the body, not the body language, but like the nuances of some of the builders, right? And especially from Copperhead, something about it felt like he won that Riptide fight somehow. His attitude, I don't know if it was his attitude or his body language or something, but something was telling me that he came out of that fight as a winner up against Riptide. And then, that's just something I thought worth mentioning, just the podcasts and stuff like that. And Jonathan Schultz had this, like, attitude of a winner somehow, and I was like, something tells me that he was gonna go very far, but I don't know if he was gonna take the giant nut. You know what I mean? But something about that was telling me he got very far with Huge, and that's huge. Oh man. So for one last time, Huge. But this time around, it's all about slash and burn. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. So congrats again, Jamison Go and Team SawBlaze. Really, I'm happy for you guys for taking that win. I think it was appropriate. If you pay attention to this team, you can see the progress. So I think it in a way it is appropriate. Same with Jonathan Schultz. I would have been happy for him either way. These two robots, I would have been either way been happy whoever was winning that. A little more favor on, or a little more bias on SawBlaze, but I would have been happy for Huge anyway. I don't know. So, but along with that though, for top 8, I got 2, 4, not the other 2 wrong, right? 2 right, 2 wrong. So therefore, yeah. I got this part wrong, but I got the winner right. So I think it evened out. I think it evened out, right? So in the end, that's I think that is appropriate way to end these videos for now with the bracket sort of prediction checkup and stuff like that. So that was pretty much like my last analysis on this championship. World Championship 7 again has come to a close with SawBlaze taking the giant nut. So that ends my sort of bracket checkup. Overall, yeah, it was looking really good for me, and then as it went on, it was tougher, man. Like, you know, and I definitely got some wrong. This entire side was wrong. This entire side was wrong. Man. But this entire side was right. And I got the winner right. So that's something. I'll take that W, you know. So what do your brackets look like? Who was the win? Who thought who was gonna win and all that stuff? Please leave those comments in the comment section below. I love to read those comments. Those kind of discussions are always fun to interact with. You know, of course, keep it friendly. We're all here to just love robots. We're not here to you know, call each other names and stuff like that, you know. All I want is a good robot fighting time. That's all I want, man. But you gotta have the people, you know, behind it. You know, without the people, what do you got? You know what I mean? And people would ignore that. But anyway, thank you for tuning in for this video. If you have any comments relating to BattleBots, what do you guys thought of the whole season? And of course, what do your brackets look like? Leave them down below. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and the thumbs up or thumbs down, I don't know. And the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you want to see more videos like this in the future. Speaking of which, I do look forward to season 8. There are some different there are some interesting things that could make things quite different once again. Hopefully updates to the rules. Maybe I'll make a video about that. Maybe just like post thoughts, random thoughts about BattleBots season 7, I think it is. Always get that confused. World Championship 7, yep. So don't forget to check out all the stuff in the description below, including my recent affiliation / sponsorship with Rogue Energy. If you want some good energy running into your veins, just like Jameson Gull, right? He said energy drinks, right? What's the feeling going through your heart or whatever? What's going through your heart right now? Energy drinks. So
what's going through your heart right now?
Energy drinks.
If you want that going through your heart at good moderation, check out Rogue Energy. Use the coupon code HAWK525 to save 10%. I really appreciate it, guys. So thank you very much once again. This was a great robot fighting time. Hopefully we see that more in the next season in the World Championship 8. So we'll probably see more BattleBots stuff along the way, like I don't know, Vengeance in Vegas type of stuff, spin-off events to see more robots fighting. Hopefully we see that air on YouTube or air on TV and then upload it on YouTube. And all that fun stuff. I look forward to more BattleBots hopefully soon. So with that, thank you very much and hope to see you all in the next one. Ciao now.